welcome back to the FNZ 9+3 podcast, where free football supporters take a look into the dressing room, chat to former professional footballers about their experiences on and off the pitch. I'm your host, Ashley Simons. If you're listening via our podcast services, why not drop us a 5-star rating? Anything less and we'll have to change the personnel. Talking of personnel tonight, I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Armchair Andy and Tux. Lads, I think we need to invest in an armchair or two to improve the comfortability and the feng shui of the pod. Andy, what do you recommend?
Something that reclines, I think. Maybe a beer holder, a bigger start.
Beer holder. Well, move up and down, really.
If we get those 5-star reviews, then, you know.
We could do anything. Tux, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So tonight we're joined by a former goalkeeper who represented his country on the international stage, played in Europa League, and currently holds the record for number of clean sheets for Middlesborough. It's Dimi Konstantopoulos. Dimi, welcome to the show. Firstly, did I pronounce that correct? And secondly, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, that was a good try. Pretty close. I'm good. It's good to be here.
Good. Dimi, as a brand new guest on the 90+3 show, you won't be familiar with the format, so let me just set the scene for you. Just imagine you're in a pub and you're joined by 3 of the most inquisitive punters you'll ever come across. We want to know everything before closing time. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Brilliant. All right then, Tux, you're going to kick us off with the questions, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, so Dimi, thanks again for coming on tonight's episode. So before we come on to your professional career, can you take me through your childhood back in your homeland of Greece and where the love of football came from as a young boy?
To be fair, I always, since I remember myself, I used to have a ball in my hands and, playing about. It's a funny incident. My mum showed me the albums as a baby. When I was 3 months old, she wrote somewhere that he loves to play with a ball in his hands. He's going to be a goalkeeper, and she's very proud of it now because she thinks she's like a fortune teller. So, yeah, I've started since I could walk really. I was always into football. My dad used to take me and watch games, different teams. The goalkeeping bug got into me at the age of 5 or 6, I think. I like to dive around and I thought it was fun. It wasn't the case of a lot of people saying, "No, he was the worst player on the pitch, so we put him as a goalkeeper." I was pretty good playing that outfield as well, but I enjoyed being in goal. And then I remember my oldest cousin started playing in a juniors team, and I got jealous, and I started bugging my dad, telling him to take me to a team so I could start playing. So at the age of 8, I think, I started an academy, like a juniors team in the local team. And after that, it just, progressed.
So in the early part of your career from 1996 to 2003, you obviously played in Greece and also had a stint in Portugal. It was in 2003 that you got your move to Hartlepool United. So take me through your first spell at Hartlepool. And obviously this is your first move to Britain. So, take me through that kind of period in your life. Obviously, coming to a new country and then obviously playing in England.
I wanted to try abroad since I started being professional, really, because I was a big admirer, fan of Peter Schmeichel. We used to watch him play all the time, and I wanted to try myself in England because I thought it was the toughest leagues in the world, and I want to try myself, see where I can get. It didn't come straight away. I had a spell in Portugal where I signed for a club and financially it was very bad, and it went into administration. So after the first year, I managed to leave there. The same summer, I got a trial in Spain with a second division club. I was trialing for about a week. They had a contract ready for me. And one day I got a text from an agent in England mentioning England and Hartlepool. I didn't know what Hartlepool was, where it was. I just saw the name England, and I actually left the hotel early morning. The people from the Spanish club, they were looking for me the next day to take me to training. I just got on a plane in Hartlepool, where they took me. They took me to the B&B hotel. I knew I just left a club where I was in a 5-star hotel, and I ended up in a bed and breakfast, and I was thinking, what have you done? But no, it was good.
So how much of a step up, I mean, you've sort of touched upon it there, but I mean, how much of a step up is it coming from a league such as either the Greek league or the Portuguese league to perhaps maybe like a League One or a League Two side? I mean, take me through some notable differences, and that might, some fans might not actually realise what those differences are from being, playing abroad and then obviously coming over here into Britain.
I think the leagues in the UK, and especially lower leagues, more powerful and fast. The game's faster. It's a lot of contact. It's more games, basically. So it's a bigger challenge. Abroad, the football can be more technical sometimes. Stop and go, lots more fouls. So it's a different style, and it takes a while to adjust and to adapt. But as I said, I watched it in the past many times, and I was ready for the challenge, and I took it straight away.
In 2007, you moved to Coventry, which you only appeared 24 times, but had 3 loan spells at Forest, Swansea, and Cardiff. Moving around a few clubs in that time must have been hard when you're probably wanting to secure a first team position and get a run of games in. How did you find that?
It was a move that on paper was really good, and I was free from Hartlepool in the summer, and they offered me a new deal long term, but I wanted to try higher because I had interest from championship clubs. And Coventry seemed the best one. It started well with a good team, loads of new players in. I started the campaign. We're doing all right. Then at some point, the manager left, Ian Dowie. A new manager came. I can't remember if it was that season that I got injured. I think it was. I was out for a few games, and there was Nottingham Forest. They were interested on loan, so I joined them, and I was unlucky the first session to rupture my Achilles. So basically, I didn't even train with Forest. I was just registered there because I was out for about 8 months. Then I returned to Coventry the next season, and the Swansea came, which I stayed for three months. They wanted me to sign longer, but I missed the deadline to sign longer because I was snowed in. I missed it for about 15 minutes. And then after that, straight after that, Cardiff came, and then I finished the season at Cardiff.
Yeah, so you had some transfer deadline day drama there. How have you found transfer deadline day before? Is it painful? Is it nervous?
It was very unlucky because I remember I was in Birmingham on that day, and my agent rang me and he said, Swansea, we got the contract ready for you to go and sign at the Rico. And I had it actually in front of me about 4 hours on the deadline. So I set off, but it was so much snow on the roads that it took me about 4 hours to get there. And for 15 minutes when I signed, the FA didn't pass it. So yeah, it wasn't stressful at the beginning because I thought I had plenty of time, but it was getting really stressful towards the end when I could see I might not get there in time.
Yeah, so I mean, your career could have gone on a different path. You could have signed for Swansea, and then you wouldn't have gone back to Greece. So in 2010, you moved back to your home country to Kerkra. Is that right?
Yeah,
Good.
Kerkera FC, yeah.
And a team in the Greek Super League, based in Corfu. How was it being back in Greece compared to Wales and the Midlands?
Obviously, I am from Greece. I knew Greece. I had been away for a while from football there, but the project they had in Kerkera was quite appealing because the chief executive then he had experience from English football, and he had some time in England. It was a newly promoted team in the Premier League, so the goal was to stay up. We started the campaign there. We managed to stay up, and I got voted the best goalkeeper of the season, and I got my call-ups in for the Greece national team. And then after that came the transfer to AK Athens.
Yeah, so you touched on there. You had a really good spell of form, which you ended up getting the goalkeeper of the season and your call-up to the Greek national team, who you then also made your debut for. That must have been a really proud moment, which must stick with you.
Yeah, 100%. Playing in front of your, of your fellow countrymen, really, and for your national team, it's a different feeling, and it was really a big proud moment for me and my family. It was a qualifying game, and we managed to win pretty easily. I had a few caps, but it was friendly games and games abroad. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Even though I was at the age of 32, it shows that as a goalkeeper you can always improve, and if you believe yourself, you can do it. Because there was many doubts back then. It's getting old, it's getting on a bit, but as long as you do well on the pitch, I think the age doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you mentioned that you then went on to join a team which we all know, and I've regularly watched with interest in European football, such as Europa League, mainly because they're crazy fans and all the pyros, etc. But you joined AK Athens for a spell in which you made 39 appearances for the club. You went into playing European football. How was that for you? That must have been, it must have been on a great level with your national team appearances.
Yeah, it was brilliant. The first season when I signed, we had a great team. Some Greek legends of football. We had foreign players like Ediogo Johnson, played for Chelsea and Barcelona. We did really well, even though the club struggled financially. We done really well. We managed to qualify for the Europa League, gone to the group stages, and all was good. But the second year, everything went in decline. Most of the players left, the good players. I had a chance to leave, but I decided to stay and help the team. But it was a lot of sort of internal problems with the ownership and players not getting paid, and a lot of young players joined the team, and they couldn't really take the pressure of such a big club. And it was a bad second season over there, and obviously the club went down because of financial reason to third division, and now they're back up.
Yeah, and you also suffered an awful injury in Europa League, if I'm right. One which could have probably ended your career, being on your spinal column, if I'm right. And actually, that probably could have changed your life, but you managed to recover from that. I mean, talk us through that.
I was quite fortunate within the unfortunate situation, really, because it came out of nowhere. It was I went to training, and one day and the next morning I woke up and I had no sensation of my muscles, my hamstring, my left leg, and my muscles in front of the shin. So I went to training. I talked to the physios. They said it must be something jammed in your back, and just massage and stuff. So I tried to carry on for a while. We tried not to look at the operation option. I actually played one Europa League game like that, and I couldn't do it. It wasn't getting any better. And in the end, I was suffering with pains every time I would walk. The nerve would jam, and I had to sit down. So we decided to go with the operation, which was, they told me a practically easy operation, was to remove a piece of the cartilage that was blocking the nerve. So yeah, not real damage was done there. As soon as that was done, then I recovered in about 2 months' time, physiotherapy. And obviously, sometimes you have to look and think things could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, exactly. And, thankfully you recovered. And as you already mentioned, AK Athens fell to relegation. It seems like you kind of had quite a journey at AK Athens, from Europa League, having a terrible injury, and then them getting relegated. And I think that just shows a roller coaster you can go through in football. And yeah, that must have been quite a journey for you. Never
a dull moment. It was never boring, for sure. Yeah, it was. Football is full of ups and downs. It's could be 9 out of 10 bad times, but you live and play and hope for the one good situation, or the one award, or the one trophy that that makes it all worth it.
Okay then, Dimi, I wanted to concentrate on your time at Boro. You spent 6 seasons at the Riverside, and it wasn't an easy spell because you had a lot of competition. You do, however, hold the record for being the oldest player to ever represent Middlesbrough in a competition, which tells me whilst you were there, you were performing at a high standard. Anyway, let's talk about how your story began at Boro. You joined Boro in August 2013. Tell us how that move came about.
I was free agent. I was back in England because my wife's English, and I was doing training on my own, and I was looking for somewhere to get back into English football. And I got a call from a friend of mine in Middlesbrough, the goalkeeping coach, Stephen Pearce. There, he knew me from before, and they had a need for an extra keeper, basically to help with training, with the training load. Initially they offered me a short-term deal, and I just jumped straight into it because I saw it as an opportunity to get back into it. I could never settle, being third choice, or I could never settle just sitting there and just training. So I believed in myself, and I thought when I get the opportunity, I'll just take it and I'll show what I can do. And it happened after, I think, a few months. There was a change of manager. Tony Mowbray left, who actually, when he got me in his office, when I first signed, he said, if you do well, you could be here for the next 5 years. I ended up being 6. So it was wise words. He left. Aito Karanka came. He was a new manager to a new team, with not knowing, not having much knowledge of the English players or how it works. So, in all fairness to him, he said, I'll just play the players who I think they'll do a job for us. I don't care who the names are. Initially, he started involving me in the squad. We had Shea Gibbon on loan, who's a legend. Obviously, he's done really well in his time here. And when Shea left, Thomas Mejias came from Spain. After a game, I think he got injured. Then I got a chance to play the last 12 games, and I did, and I done well. We finished comfortably, I think, about 9th position or something. And from the next season, apart from the first 5 games, which I missed, I think there's 2 seasons followed, I didn't miss a single game.
No, so you were coming into a squad managed by one of the youngest bosses in football at the time, Aitor Karanka, like you just mentioned there. he was fresh off the plane from Madrid. Obviously, he was a coach under, I think it was Jose Mourinho at the time, or just prior to that. But what was Aitor like as a manager?
Yeah, when he first came, everyone was at awe. Obviously, his playing career and the competitions he played for, and as a coach working with Jose Mourinho, Real Madrid, and obviously Real Madrid is one of the biggest clubs in the world. So he had loads of experience about top-level football. Everyone used to listen to his stories. He used to tell us about his time at Madrid, and he got respect straight away from the players, and players wanted to play for him. He was very demanding, perfectionist. He wanted things to be done his way and the best of your ability. But I think that's setting high standards. I think that it's a good thing, and that's why when he was there, from when he first came to after that, it was slowly, gradually, the team getting better and going higher.
Yeah, so you staked your place in the first team, like you mentioned just previously, and you made it to the Championship playoff final, but obviously you lost 2-0 to Norwich. Can you explain what that day was like for you personally?
Oh, it was a nightmare the whole day. It was a nightmare. We were late to arrive at Wembley. There was a misunderstanding with the times with the bus, and we arrived about an hour before the game, before kickoff, and our preparation wasn't as normal. And we sort of started the game a bit dazed, I think, and we ended up, being 2-0 down in a playoff final, which is not easy to turn around. And it was disappointing. It was gutting, really, because thousands of Boro fans came down to watch us, and we felt that we didn't give them a contest or something to shout about. We're really disappointed, but at the same time, we're really determined to put it right, and we did that next season.
Yeah, I mean, recovering from a disappointing end to the season like that can normally be a huge challenge, but Boro rose above that, and next season, Boro not only got promoted, but you yourself kept a clean sheet record for the club, 22 clean sheets in one season. And not only that, you racked up 9 consecutive clean sheets in a row. I mean, that's completely unheard of in today's football. I mean, tell us about that season, getting promotion to the Premier League and your personal performance. It must have been the best season to date in your career.
Yeah, definitely. I was lucky to be in a team, in a squad that weren't really good players, but really good lads. So the atmosphere in the dressing room was really good, and I think that's the basis to start from for any successful team. You can have the best footballers in the world if it's not a happy dressing room. At some point, the form will dip. So yeah, it was the same. The manager was still demanding. We were the favourites that season to go up, so it was adding pressure on us. But we had strong personalities in the team, and we knew how good we were, and we weren't really faced by some games we didn't perform, or if you lose the game, we could bounce back straight away. And we all worked as a unit. I remember games, people were saying if Boro go 1-0 up, I think it's game over. Because we took, especially as defensive unit, we really took pride on the clean sheets. We were talking about it amongst us before games and trainings. And we need another one and another one and another one and see where it gets us. I want us to get to 2022. My goal was 23, half the games, but we didn't manage to do that.
You must have been gutted then at the end.
Yes.
No, but in terms of that, 9 in a row is just completely unheard of. I mean, you look into record books and probably say, I think it was a 30-year record that Boro beat that season. But I mean, look, following promotion and, your incredible impact on the squad, you alone, the goalkeeper who's kept 22 clean sheets in the promotion season, you finished top of the Championship, you've gone up. I mean, your impact on the squad was noticeable, but when Boro went into the Premier League, they obviously brought in the likes of Victor Valdez. Obviously, we know who played at Barcelona, been there for such a long time. And then Brad Guzan, a player he's had experience in the Premier League, but he's always been probably the scapegoat for a lot of Premier League sides that have been relegated from the Premier League. But in my eyes, you deserved a chance. Were you disappointed not to get the opportunity to play in the Premier League?
Yeah, 100%. I was gutted. I was really disappointed, and I was really frustrated because I thought, as you said, I deserved at least a chance. I never asked to get the shirt at home or to be the undisputed number one. I just wanted a chance to maybe start the season, and if it doesn't work out, then fine. But it didn't happen. It was really frustrating. As you said, they brought 2 other keepers. I never feared competition in my career, as long as I get you get a fair chance for everyone to show what they can do. It was disappointing, but I thought that I could maybe help the club any way I could. I love the club, and I wanted to see the club doing well. But unfortunately, it was a season of many mistakes on and off the pitch, and we didn't manage to stay.
Yeah, so incredibly, after everything you achieved in terms of success with Boro, you made your last appearance in the promotion campaign. I mean, you were still there for 3 years after. In terms of league appearances, 3 years. Do you think it was a question of longevity, that the club wanted a keeper which maybe had a few more years on the clock? Do you think it was age that stopped you from playing in those games?
You mean the Premier League or after?
Yeah, just in general in those last few seasons.
I don't know about the Premier League because obviously Valdez wasn't much younger than me. I think it was just obviously the name and his experience that they were counting on. After that, I think maybe that could have been the idea. But again, I've always said that if it's not broken, doesn't need fixing. Especially in a goalkeeper, you see keepers playing until the early 40s sometimes and performing on a top level. But everyone has their own ideas. That's football, and you have to respect it at some point. And if you dwell on it and you're sobbing about it, you're only hurting yourself if you're not trying your best to get better.
Yeah, completely agree. Obviously, in your time at Boro, you played under the likes of Aitor Karanka, Gary Monk and Konstantopoulos, all good managers in today's game. What do you think are the reasons why they weren't successful at the Riverside Stadium? I mean, they did try. They tried to get Boro into the Premier League, keep them there. Why did they not become successful?
I think various reasons, different reasons for each manager. They all obviously Aitor Karanka had success. He brought the club back in the Championship, in the Premier League. Gary Monk and Tony Pulis had, I think, 2 different coaching styles. Gary Monk didn't manage to finish a full season. He had his own ideas. I'm not sure of the reasons of his hacking, to be honest. Then Tony came in, and Tony's a terrific man-manager. He makes every single player in the club feel important. But his philosophy is different. And he had a goal. We nearly got there. We went to the playoff semis one season. But again, the rest is up to the chairman to decide.
Your last club recently was Hartlepool, as you went in search of a new club and kept up your fitness in the early part of 2019. I mean, my question to you would be, what's the situation with your career now? I mean, are you still a player? Are you officially retired? I mean, what's the situation with you now?
I think with Hartlepool started because I asked them to train with them to keep fit during the summer, and at some point I was doing well in training, and they started asking me if I could join them and stuff, and I said, I'll think about it. and then later on, before Christmas, I signed a non-contract really because it was required for me to play in a couple of cup games. It will be good for me to get some game time. But then the manager changed. Craig Hignett was a manager when I went, which is a top man and a good friend of mine. Then the new manager came, different philosophy, different ideas. It wasn't really exactly my cup of tea, so I decided to leave it. And since January, I've been keeping fit by myself. Obviously, everyone's been keeping fit by themselves with this whole situation lately. But I don't think I can get back into football as a player. I think my future now is focusing on being a part of football again in some other capacity. Either that's coaching or something else. We shall see.
Yeah. So I mean, as you said there, I mean your career's obviously come to an end playing wise, but I mean other than that, in terms of maybe a future coach, maybe a future manager, I mean what else are you up to other than kind of watching football or anything else these days? What are you up to now?
I can't imagine myself being away from football or not being involved in football. So at the minute I'm at the point where I'm finishing my coaching badges. My goal is eventually to become a manager, but there's a long way to go, and I need to take things slowly and see where that leads. But as I said, football is what I know and what I've learned to do since I was a baby, and that's what makes me happy. So yeah, I think my future will be football in some capacity.
So just touching upon the fact that you could, possibly see yourself becoming a manager. I mean, as I said earlier, I mean, you've worked under some really great managers, especially at Boro. I mean, the likes of Tony Pulis and Gary Monk and, those type of names. But if you had to, model your own managerial career in the future on maybe a manager you've played under before or just someone that you like, I mean, what do you think your management style would be?
I think because I was lucky to work with loads and good managers. You got to take something from each. Each one of them had something that the others didn't, and I was always trying to, observe and sort of take notes. I believe football is a game of adjusting and adapting. As a manager, I think these days it's great to have your own philosophy and your own tactical system in your mind. But as you go to a new club, you need to adapt with what you're given at the time. If you're given a time of 3 years to build your own squad and exact players that you want, then yeah, but until then, you have to work with what you've got. And that means sometimes you have to adjust your own philosophy to win games, because it's all about winning games, really. It's all about the results. So yeah, I think that's my approach.
So last question of the evening, we ask all our guests this question. So as many as our listeners may know by now, we like to end on a question as we go in search of a guest that we really want to be on this FNZ 90+3 podcast. So my final question is, Dimi, have you ever come across Dele Adebola or even played with him?
Dele, what a man! Yeah, of course, at Coventry. He was a man mountain. I remember him training a couple of times. We clashed each other on high balls, and I just bounced off like a rubber doll. He's a top man.
So, how well do you know him personally? Do you think you could get us a way in for him to come onto the podcast?
I haven't got his number because obviously it's been a few years. But if he's on social media, I can send him a message and ask him.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that.
Incredible. That would be incredible. Dimi, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on tonight, mate. It's been you're our first goalkeeper. I've been probably one of the safest pair of hands in recent football years. I'm sure the boys would agree. But thanks for coming on tonight, mate, and take care, okay?
I really enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dimi.
Cheers, mate.